Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm really thrilled to be doing this Instagram Live today about such an important subject. And that is not only talking about fatherhood with Roker, but also his experience being a father to a child with special needs that he has been very open about, his son Nick, which I absolutely love. He's also a Special Olympics athlete, so I love that as well. And I do think that I'm actually going to ask Al. I asked him, so we'll see. Oh, Mom, hi, sweetheart. That's how you get. Hi, Al.
Hey, Katherine, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Let me,
I'm.
I think maybe my lens is a little dirty. Hold on. Let me just.
Oh boy.
There,
How are you?
there.
How
I'm
are you?
doing great. Good,
Oh,
good, good.
good. I'm so glad that this worked. I was a little bit nervous about joining Instagram Live
You,
with you.
I always, even though I've done a bunch of them, I always get this anxiety that I'm going to screw it
Me
up.
too.
Like, ugh, ugh,
I know.
ugh.
It's always there's always running the risk of something going terribly wrong with the live technology, especially in this past year. So anyway, thank you so much for coming on and for taking time to do this. I'm so excited to chat with you and to spend a little time talking about a subject that has actually been asked about so much since I've been doing this BDA Baby series, which is advice for parents who have a child with special needs. So I'm so grateful for you taking time to do that. My mom is also watching and writing comments here,
Uh,
so you will see her there as well. But I want to start off by first saying congratulations because your daughter just got married,
yes,
right?
yes. We had an interesting 10 days in that our middle girl, Leela, graduated from the American University of Paris. So but we couldn't get to Paris because of COVID at the time. So we reconnoitered in Greece, but her school had moved the graduation, which is virtual, back a week and a half. So it was butting up against Courtney's marriage. So it was kind of nuts. But Courtney came. We watched the thing. She graduated and then came home, and we put the finishing touches on Courtney's wedding, and we had that. And so
Wow.
both of my girls had a really special couple of days, and Nick this fall is going to be a senior.
Oh
So
my gosh,
but
so much
we're
going on.
knocking on the door of empty nesthood.
You and my mom can talk all about that together. But I mean, I want to talk about your daughter getting married because I think that's something that a dad always thinks about, especially a girl dad. What was that like for you?
It was it was the natural progression of things. Wes is a lovely young man, very sweet, loves my daughter very much, loves Leela and Nick also, and so that part of it was very celebratory. But it's like, and it's the natural way things are supposed to happen. But I was thinking about my parents. They're both gone. And they would have loved to have seen this. And you're one step closer to being irrelevant.
Oh my gosh.
Until there's a grandkid and then they need you for
Exactly.
babysitting. But
Yeah.
otherwise, but it was. I certainly I was happy. I was very happy because again, they're terrific together. They're a lovely young couple, and so it was nice. It was kind of like, yeah, this is. There wasn't this. I think some people feel dread or something. I don't know, but it was a fun party,
That's so
uh,
nice.
and we had a lovely time.
That's so nice. What about being a girl dad? I mean, we hear about this so much. My husband just became a girl dad, and I think we talk about being a girl dad so much now. What was that? Has that been like for you to be a girl dad?
I I think I was very fortunate in that my dad, and look, he was a blue collar worker for most of my childhood, and then moved into management. But he was kind of, in a sense, my role model. He had daughters, and he doted on them. And that was, but yet he was a terrific guy dad. A boy dad. He was just a dad, I guess, in a way. He knew what his girls needed, and he knew what his boys needed. I was having lunch with somebody today, our executive producer of the Today Show, Libby Least, and I said, a parent is a different person to each of their kids. I mean, my parents had 6 kids; they were 6 parents. My relationship with Nick is different than my relationship with Leela, which is different than my relationship with Courtney. One is not more valid or worthwhile than the other. They're all terrific. But look, and you always, I think you always feel, and you'll realize this, that no matter how hard you try, you still, if you're halfway normal, you still feel a little deficient as a parent. I think the difference between men and women is basically women always, like Deborah, is an amazing mom. She's
commenting on this a lot. She's watching you.
she's an amazing
He's saying
mom.
that you spoil the girls.
Well, yes, but see, that's what they need. Deborah spoils Nick, and that's great.
Yeah.
But the difference. Deborah's an amazing mother, great, a great journalist, all these things, and yet she feels like she hasn't done enough, like she could always do better. Mm-hmm. Whereas guys are kind of like, I think I did pretty good. I'm doing okay. I think I did a good job.
Yeah.
There was a line that when before she was Roseanne Barr, doing stand-up, and she had a line that I thought summed it up perfectly. Look, at the end of the day, if the kids are fed and there's no internal bleeding, I think I've done my job.
It's true. It's true. I mean, it's so true. Those observations of men and women and how they choose to parent. It's different, and it's also so true about being a different parent to each one of your kids, because I see it even with my siblings. It's like everybody has such a different experience with their childhood and their relationship with their parents. And even if you're, just a year and a half apart, you have different experiences.
Absolutely. And look, your parents are different people as they mature, as their careers change, things like that. They look, I remember my baby brother is about almost 17 years younger than me. And I remember, and I'm thinking, when I watch how my parents parented him as opposed to me and my older sister, and I'm like, who are you people? This kid's getting away with murder. I mean, he could kill a guy and it's, oh, that Chris. I mean, and finally I said, why have you slacked off so much? We're tired.
I mean, I feel like that happens with every youngest child. My brother Christopher is the exact same way. I used to say to my mom, I'm like, why aren't you grounding him? Why is he allowed to do this, this, and this? And I think it's just seems to be a common theme with the babies in the family, that they get away with murder.
Yes,
they do. You just were talking about evolving as a parent, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you was how you feel you have evolved as a father over time.
I think, listen, I do know that I can always improve. I think I do an okay job, but I think I could do better. I think I've realized that I need to show more emotion. I tend to be a little more stoic, and I don't want to, one of the things Deborah and I have disagreed on, and she's right, but like my parents, I never saw unless it was a really bad blow up, I never saw them argue. And Deborah said, well, it's not so bad. Let the kids know that we have disagreements. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, I really? Okay. And I'm not, So I'm catching some of the comments, and I guess because normally when Deborah does an IG live, I'm commenting on her stuff, and I'm
Oh,
not
she's
really
commenting
reading.
here.
I'm not reading her comments, so I can't wait to see these.
Yeah, she's been commenting a lot, talking about it, and it's so sweet. I love it. So let's jump into Nick, because you've
Yeah.
been so vocal about and open about your experience with your son Nick, who's a Special Olympics athlete, which I absolutely love, and your experience having a child with special needs. And as I mentioned before, this is a topic that a lot of parents have reached out wanting to know more about and wanting to just hear your advice and your experience with having a son with special needs.
Well, look, I think the trick is, I mean, there are obvious learning differences, but the thing that I've always marveled at him is that he doesn't let anything kind of get in his way, so that and he's always game to try something, which is I'm not necessarily built like that. Like golf. He takes golf lessons every summer with his godmother. I on the other hand feel like golf. I mean, you've got to work really hard just to suck. And there are so many other things that I can do that don't take half as much effort and suck at it. But he's and he's kind of a natural athlete, and so he's willing to try anything. And I think learning from Deborah that you don't have to just let him go, let him do stuff. I've maintained that to a certain extent, Nick is a distillation of me in that I've got these quirks, I've got issues. I think if I was coming up today, I would be somewhere kind of on the spectrum. I just kind of learned how to deal with it a little bit easier. Nick deals with his differences, but he doesn't let them get in the way and chooses. And Deborah's been great about this. It's like whatever he wants to do, let's let him do it. He takes drums, he does chess, and he's very self-motivated. He schedules his own tutoring. He sees a tutor probably 5-6 days a week, and during the pandemic, it paid off. He did very well. He's got like an A average. So he's very fearless, and he's not afraid to do different things and to allow your kids the space to do that. I love you too.
How do you allow that was one of the questions that a lot of parents had asked with children with special needs, is how do you allow them to kind of fly free and to not have that constant worry and just kind of nervousness around them being bullied or being accepted?
Well, look, I think as we have come to learn, I don't care who you are, you have to worry about bullying, especially in this day and age of social media. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that that's necessarily anything exclusive to folks who have kids with learning issues or whatever issues. But I do think that allowing them to be them and be that confident person, as you would all your children, is really paramount. And that's where those are the things that I've learned from Deborah, in that she is very. I think what we've discovered is that when it comes to parenting, I think we complement each other. I think she's extremely nurturing. I'm of the belief, let's let them make their own mistakes. You can't get through life and learn without failure. Whereas Deborah wants to make sure everything's okay. And I think we've calibrated between each other that you can be a little more hands-on and you can be a little more hands-off. Mm-hmm. And so I think with Nick, as with Courtney and Leela, look, when Leela decided she wanted to go to school in Paris, that was a tough one for Deborah. I, on the other hand, was like, hey, you've got a better place to go visit, but and whereas I'm a little more protective, I think of Nick, and Deborah was more, no, he's got to find these things, and
Mm-hmm.
and lo and behold, I mean, look, he's got a black belt in Taekwondo. He's won several gold medals in swimming. At the Special Olympics. He plays basketball. He's fortunately he takes after Deborah's side of the family. Her dad was very athletic. He was thin. He was very athletic and very good looking. Nick didn't have to worry about getting the less than that from my side of the family. We're a short people. We're stocky people from the Caribbean, built to withstand hurricanes. Whereas Deb's family is from the south. They grow toward the sun. It's a much different situation.
I love that. What was the journey like to be able to share your experience with Nick and being a parent to a child with special needs? Was that something that you ran by him first? Was that just between you and Deborah, or what was that like?
I think it's been a little of all of that, especially as Nick has gotten older. Look, he keeps reminding me, Dad, I'm almost 19. And so he had to go to the doctor the other day. Deborah went with him just because she wanted to talk to the doctor, but he's very independent. He goes to school. They've been hybrid, but he takes the subway every day. He's out there. Look, we've had to have serious conversations, especially this past year during the pandemic, with the horrible, situation with George Floyd and his murder, and it brought up a lot of issues, both as parents of a black son, for him, talking about his anxiety about that. In a way, I think if there was any silver lining to the pandemic, and look, it was horrible in so many ways, from loss of life to loss of jobs to loss of livelihoods. But for a lot of people, and I think we were included, we were very fortunate that we were able to work from home and kind of cocoon a little bit, to get through this. Yeah. So it was not easy, but I think it's about conversation. It's about having this talk, and these talks and ongoing talks. And again, that's more Deborah, because I'm more Guy, and it's like, as long it's like, how's school? Good? Oh, great. All right. Whereas Deborah's kind of like, no, but what are you feeling? Feelings? What? Are you crazy? And so I've learned. I still got a lot to learn, and you still do, as no matter where you are on that parenting journey, but trying to dig in. Yes, Deborah loves to talk. She loves to talk. And here's the thing. For guys, and I don't know what Chris is like, but if you've had a disagreement or whatever, you've talked about it, and you've kind of gotten to the meat of the problem, and you've solved the problem, or at least addressed it. As far as I'm concerned, we're done. What's for dinner? What would you like me to make today? Whereas Deborah likes to, well, wait, but let's look at it this way, and let's move it around. And it's almost like virtual reality. Like she's wearing those Oculus, and she can look around, and what is that? We're done. Once you start bringing it back, bad things can happen. We've gotten through this. Let's move on.
Yeah, different ways, just different ways. Yeah, you have to just.
What do you want for Father's Day? I don't want to talk.
Just want to be free. Just be free.
That's it. Let's go have barbecue. Keep our mouths full.
You don't want socks. Yeah, just don't want it. No. So, I love all these comments. They're just so incredible. One of the big questions, I always get people's questions ahead of time. And one of the most common questions came up. There were two, actually. And one of them was people feeling like parents asking saying that they feel like their child might have special needs and they don't know what to do next. What would your advice be for parents wondering that?
I think, I think if you're fortunate enough to have a really good pediatrician
Mm-hmm.
who can help you with that, I think that makes a big difference. Because look, I think, our tendency right now is to, let's go online and see
Right.
what we can find. And Dr. Google could be good, but could be bad.
Yeah.
So, if you've got a trusted health professional, I think that's your first step.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because you can't be an advocate for your child, and I think this holds true for any child, until you know who they are and what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, whether it's learning differences or asthma,
Mm-hmm.
allergies, whatever, you've got to make sure you know what it is that you're dealing with, so that you can then move on. Deborah says, "Smile." Well, wouldn't that last conversation? So you got to go to your pediatrician, and you got to get checked with him, because there you go.
That's true.
And now all of a sudden I'm like Heath Ledger in Batman Begins, or the Return of the Dark Knight.
I just love that
serious?
she's commenting so much. It's so good.
Yeah, great.
I know. We were just talking about the Special Olympics, which
Did you block her by any chance? No. Never mind.
No. We were just talking about the Special Olympics, which I obviously have spent so much of my life attending Special Olympics games and events, and I love that Nick is a part of Special Olympics, and my uncle Timmy has launched a whole campaign to end the use of the R word, which I'm very passionate about as well. And another question that came up, that I've actually seen, especially just going to Special Olympics events, is people not knowing how to interact with a parent of a child with special needs. They don't know what to say, what's politically correct to say, how to interact on that topic, on that subject. Do you have any advice for people who might be wondering about that?
I don't know. I guess, I would just say, if you've got something nice to say about somebody's kid, everybody wants to hear something nice about their kid.
Right.
And so just it's somebody's child who's doing something cool. That's all I think you need to say. Wow, when we were at one of Nick's meets, it was like, oh, so and so is just, wow, they're like a fish in the water. Wow, look at that. Wow, look at how good they're doing. I think that's, you just want your child to be treated like anybody else's child.
Yeah.
And by the way, if your kid's misbehaving, let me know that too.
Amazing. How has fatherhood changed you as a man?
Oh gosh, it's one of those. Now I'm self-conscious about smiling enough.
Just keep smiling for your wife.
Thank you. Yeah, just cheer on a child and their effort, is what Deborah Roberts says. By the way, that's what I just said, sweetheart. See, okay, here's a question for you, Katherine. I don't mean to digress, but does this ever happen where you might ask your spouse about a situation, and they give you that information, and they go, oh, okay. And then they're talking to their friend, and that friend gives them the same advice.
Uh-huh.
And they go, you know what so-and-so said? They said, I'm thinking, where did you hear that before? Oh, I don't know. Me.
This has turned into marriage advice with Al and
sorry.
Deborah.
You can hear me. I thought I was in my head.
I love it.
Anyway, parenthood, it's as Deborah once said, it's like, and I don't, basically that it's what you feel when you know what it's like to have your heart beating outside your body, that you are now responsible for someone. My dad used to always say, I don't care how old you get, you're always my kid, and so these are your children, and so you care. It's more than, listen, I love Deborah like life itself, and I know she, well, I don't think she feels that way about me, but you know, she likes me. But these are your children. They are the most unique people on the planet to you because they are this wonderful combination of you, whether it's Michael or your emotion. You know, my oldest girl, Courtney's adopted. We made no secrets about that, but she's, you know, that's my daughter. Leela's my daughter. Nick's my son, and they're our children. So, you know, I look and I see something of me in Nick or Leela or Courtney, something of Deborah and Courtney and Leela's smile. You know, and it's like mind blown. How is that possible?
It's wild.
You know, and they create this time space continuum in that, and it's such a cliche, but you know, Leela was, you know, in a stroller, and now she's a college graduate. Courtney, you know, was you know, riding a merry-go-round, and now she's a married woman. Mm-hmm. You know, and Nick was in his little taekwondo outfit, and boom, now he's going to be a senior in high school.
I know. My mom wrote on here that wrote on one of the comments that she was pregnant with me while she was working with you.
Yeah. I mean, I knew you before you were you.
I know. Can you believe it?
I mean, it's crazy. And now here you are with a mom.
I know.
What the heck? You know?
It's wild, right?
And what's wild is parenthood will change, but it keeps changing you. Mm-hmm. You know, you asked me what I was thinking about when I was dancing with Courtney. I mean, those are different emotions I had than when I took her to the county fair, you know, when she was 7, 8 years old. And you didn't think you could love anybody this much, but that love changes, mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
Look, your mom said wild. You know, it's you know, one of the great moments I had in this business was with your mom. We were doing the Sunday Today show, and we had this executive producer, this guy Sid Fetters, who would do these boondoggles. And he decided, oh, you know what, we should do Easter Sunday from overlooking the Wailing Wall in Israel. And then we did it, and then we were on a flight back, and it was just your mom and I in the 767, in that bump up at the top, and just talking and laughing, and she just, you know, anyway, I digress. There was really no point to that story whatsoever. Oh, I saw your mother.
She said, so true, we were laughing.
I know. That's what you know what, we had a story on today about some survey, I think LinkedIn or something like that. 86% of the people who work said the most important thing that they value in their coworkers is a sense of humor and laughter. And I was always laughing with your mom. You know, she's
even at inappropriate times, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best part. Is that she's so incredibly inappropriate. And I let people know. They expect that of me. But they, you know, she's so wildly inappropriate. And I'm thinking, wow, you're an adult.
Oh my gosh, Mom.
Let alone a parent.
I love that. Since your wife is also so commenting on her, my mom's like, Al, I think it's interesting just because you have your children and both of you are well-known people. Was there anything intentional that you've done as far as allowing them to carve out their own identity growing up?
Well, you know, I think we have tried the thing we could. I'm inappropriate, Maria. I'm inappropriate. There's a couple of stories I'm not going to tell.
Oh my God, please do.
No, because I still have to come. Your mom still will be coming back into Studio 1A at some point. So I can see her laying in wait. Anyway, I think one of the things I think we've worked hard at is trying to have some sense of normalcy. Mm-hmm. You know, I would say, except Deborah will probably come upstairs. I like our kids see us cooking, washing dishes, doing stuff. That's mm-hmm. what we do. And we try to let them know, look, you're not going to get a pass just because you're our kids.
Right.
You know, it's still, you've got to make your life. I think for Leela, going to school abroad actually helped her because nobody really knew who her parents were. They just knew she was, you know, or she was Leela. So look, yes, we get into restaurants and things, but I think we've worked hard at them trying to. They see we work hard. You know, Deborah is one of the hardest working journalists out there, and a mom. And here's the thing: the fact of the matter is, no matter how much I like to think I'm an involved dad and all that, it always still falls on mom. The mom, you know, it is mothers. It's almost impossible what we ask of them, and yet they do it. You know, when your kid is sick, you rarely hear kids going, "Dad," you know, it's mom. You know, when football players like score some huge thing, they're going, "Hey, Dad." It's always, "Hey, mom."
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. You know, I mean, so I try to do dad stuff and be there, but at the end of the day, Deborah is the one who's, you know, carrying the load.
That's awesome. Well, my mom
as opposed to and carrying me too. So, you know, wow.
Deborah and my mom are probably the most involved people in this entire Instagram live.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. You know, see, and you know why? Because all of our kids are grown. You know, so they've got all this bandwidth. You know, I mean, I felt badly for all the folks I was working with at the Today Show because most of my co-anchors have smaller kids.
Yeah.
You know, like elementary, preschool, and oh my gosh, they were going nuts. I mean, they love their children, but you know, they're running school, they're doing this, they're doing that, and then they're still working. Nick was doing his own thing, doing high school. At one point, Nick was like going from one room to the other. I said, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm changing class." So he was going from different rooms.
Oh my gosh. I know. My mom always says that to me whenever she sees people or when she comes back from being at the Today Show. She's talking to people or around people who have a bunch of little kids, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did it. It sounds so exhausting now." I'm like, I know, it's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was the oldest of 6, and my mom there were no babysitters or anything. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, "How did you do?" I mean, at this point, I think I had Courtney and we had Leela. I said, "How did you do this?" She said, "Well, after a while, you all took care of yourselves." I said, "Yeah, but you had to get us to that point."
Yeah.
But the difference is, I think, we weren't, our parents weren't these helicopter parents. Yeah. It was literally, okay, it's a Saturday. I don't want to see you until the street lights come on. Mm-hmm. Get out. Yeah. You would never think of saying to your mother, "Oh, I'm bored." No. Yeah. It was like, "Oh, here's a cardboard box of crayons and a pair of scissors. Goodbye."
I love that. We need more of that in parenting today, I think. Less technology, more creativity.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Deborah has been, although with not a lot of success in my part, and I know I'm guilty of us trying to put our devices away and down, and
it's a struggle, I think, for everyone.
It's a struggle. Yeah. She's better at it than I am.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing with Nick. No matter what, during the school year, the devices get put away after like 10 o'clock. Yeah. And then he gets them back, the next morning. Yeah.
No, it's definitely hard. It's a crazy time. In this past year, I think most parents have had a really challenging time with the balance of.
Did you by any chance, did you do any crossword puzzles? I mean, not crossword, jigsaw puzzles during the pandemic?
I didn't know.
Deborah did a couple of them.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was, and it got to the point where we were all kind of like pitching in, like we'd walk by and, "Oh, try this, try that." It was it really was. I hate jigsaw puzzles, to be honest. I get.
What about just a regular puzzle?
I do word puzzles.
Okay.
You know,
That's good
yeah.
for your brain. You should talk to my mom about that.
I know,
All
I know.
about the
Like we
brain.
do, you know, like Deborah and I will play Scrabble, and she doesn't like it because I clean her clock with it usually, and
Oh,
then
wow.
she's angry, and then so it kind of defeats the purpose.
I like this healthy competitive nature.
Yeah, you know, that's the problem. You know, when you got two TV people working in the same house. And let me tell you, during the pandemic, it was crazy because we were literally both like one room apart on the
You
air.
said that you cheat.
Yeah, because I don't know, I use real words.
Oh, wow. Gosh. Okay, well, I'll let you guys get to that. Thank you so much, Al, for taking time to
I'm
talk
shocked she
today.
didn't come upstairs.
I
Usually,
know.
after a point, it's like she's had it and just comes up and throttles me.
I know. Well, maybe you'll go downstairs and then that will happen.
Well, yeah, but then you won't see it. So if you don't see it, has it happened? I don't know.
No, definitely not. Amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And I'm so grateful you took time. And happy early Father's Day.
Oh, wait a minute. I think, are you coming upstairs?
You do cheat.
There she is.
He does cheat a little bit.
No.
He cheats a little bit.
Aw.
Catherine,
Hi, how are you?
good. Believe half of what he said.
Okay, I'll take it. Just a little bit
All
of
the
it
good stuff
with
about
you.
me.
Aw, it's so
Take
sweet.
care.
Thank
It's that
you.
baby.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.